Doctor, look.
Stand aside, nurse. I'm Dr. Homebrew.
Stand clear.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Dr. Homebrew. Excited for this show. I probably start in 80% of the shows like that, but I was telling Cooper before we started that for some reason, so normally what we do here is we do two shows at the same time. So both shows for the month, we record one after the other because, Brian and Brian have a life and they're busy and they're in demand people.
You can always tell which one is the second of the two. Like if you're alternating episodes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like a little wild and woolly.
And I'm like, I don't have to. Anyway, so when we're recording two shows for like an hour or two beforehand, I'm like, fuck, I don't really want to do it. Fuck, I hate it. Like I just sit for 2.5 hours behind that dumb desk in my dumb hot office. I just don't want to deal with it. But today we're only doing one show. So I'm like pumped. I'm like, yes, let's go. We can do one show. I'm excited. We're gonna have a good time. It's gonna be great. So that's the dichotomy of working with me. But today's show is going to be interesting. It is a commercial calibration esque show. We have two weird commercial beers that I've never had before, and I'm excited to share them with you. We were trying to figure out what to do for this show. And I'm like, we haven't done a commercial collaboration or calibration in a while. So I was at Bevmo and I saw a style of beer I've never had ever in my entire life. And I've always heard about it. So we're going to drink that. And then the next one, we have a classic Belgian beer in a can, which I've never seen it in a can before. And I think that'd be really interesting to talk about as well.
Have you ever had it in the can?
No, not that I would ever explain on this show. So first things first. The beer we're going to start out with is a Radler. I have never had a Radler in my entire life. And I'm excited for it. This is the Stiegl Radler grapefruit.
Out of Salzburg, Austria.
Of course, why not, right? Malt beverage with natural flavor. So I'm curious to see why it's a malt beverage. I can't say it's a beer. What is a Radler?
So, I can't believe you. First of all, I can't believe you've ever had not had a Radler or a shandy.
I've never had one either.
No, I'm too much of a purist, man. I'm like,
yeah, me too.
You've never been to Germany?
Oh, multiple times.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it's
looking at us like you can't believe you're doing a show with us right now. Like we're so much purists that I'll have a fucking Berliner Weiss in Berlin, but I won't have a Radler.
There you go.
When you go to a German, any German beer providing place, it's just one of the secret menu items. If not listed on the menu, you can just ask for it.
Oh, wow.
Give me a Radler, and they take half Pilsner beer and mix with the lemon soda or lemonade sometimes.
So, ich weiß nicht.
It is a Radler. It's Pilsner and lemonade.
Pretty much.
Okay.
And this one's like Pilsner and grapefruit juice,
I thought
right?
I thought it was like a wheat beer. I thought it was a wheat beer base. Does it have to be a Pilsner? Is it one of those things?
Well, you can mix a number of different light beers with, fruit, fruit soda, fruit juice, and make a Radler. Not juice necessarily, but like lemonade kind of a drink. And it just sweetens it up a little bit. You have a very dry, lager. Some people really like just the addition of that, the fruitiness and the sweetness to the beer that doesn't have a lot of either on its own, and it makes it real easy to drink, but also to drink a few of. If you're having a session and you want to have a few pints at the pub in the evening, you can pretty much go with as many of these as you get away with. This is 2.25% alcohol.
I love that already. So it's half and half, right? It's 50% beer and 50% lemonade or grapefruit or whatever. I would imagine the citrus things, probably not orange juice, but I imagine those
soda
drinks were going to be probably a little bit better to make a Radler with.
Sure.
I poured this out and it was hazy. And my first thought was, wow, JP is going to love this because it's hazy and fruity. What's that sound like?
It's the only hazy beer that's truly you can call juicy and not get slapped. Well, okay. Look, I've been drinking it already. I really like it. It tastes like grapefruit soda.
It's not artificial. The web information claims that they use real grapefruit juice. So yeah, and they used to
get a little pith, like in the finish there.
Not even pith. It's like you have maybe an overripe grapefruit, or maybe not overripe, but maybe one that hasn't had enough water, right? So like the skin is real thick. And a lot of the time the little pods, I guess, for lack of a better term, the flesh in there is like you can pick one out and it's like one little tiny bead that you squeeze. It's the taste of that. It's like the taste of the inside skin. If that makes sense.
Makes total sense.
Yeah.
It's very refreshing for sure. I like the fruit is a natural flavor. And so, yeah, they also mentioned that they used the Stiegel Goldbräu as the beer base for this. Now I need to look that one up.
Oh, was that on the web? I was trying to see that on the can. Was that on the website that you saw that?
Finding it on the web information on Stiegel.at.
Because they had on the shelf at the Total Wine, they had this, and then next to it was the Stiegel Helles, then was like the Stiegel Pilsner. And I was trying to determine for like the can which one was in the Radler.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the Goldbräu is their Munich Helles lager beer.
Okay.
So it's very common. Yeah. Helles, if you're in Munich, mix the Helles with the lemon or grapefruit. You can also, I mean, any lager beer does pretty well. I guess, being Helles is such a smooth, balanced beer and not hop forward or anything, as opposed to a Pils, it's going to be smoother underneath that. So, yeah.
Yeah, I really enjoy it. I mean, I can definitely see how this is a nice refresher. It is a little bit, it doesn't really taste like beer, which, I guess if I was going to make one, I would probably do 60-40, because I do want a little bit of beer flavor, but it is highly carbonated.
It's,
I think that really helps provide the kind of refreshingness that we're talking about here.
Yeah, it's surprising how much being about 50-50 that it's a blend of the two, but you do taste the almost more like a fruit flavored beverage than a beer flavored beverage.
Yeah. Do you know why on the can it says malt beverage and it's not?
That's probably just a legal thing. They have to call it a malt beverage. So it's no, it's not like a flavored alcohol filled water or something, or seltzer.
Yeah, because it's just so much, 50% of that volume. Mm-hmm. There's probably some trigger if it's over X% that it's got to be a malt beverage.
Okay. So is there a style guideline in the BJCP for a Radler?
Undeveloped that I know of, no.
So probably because it's like it's a mix, right? And you could do it yourself. Like a shandy is when you do it yourself with your own juice, right, Brian? Or am I understanding that wrong?
The shandy is the English version of it. So that's the English lemonade with beer.
Could you just not? What would you enter this as if you were going to enter this as a home brewer?
This is category 20 because category 20 fruit beer. And looking at this now for the first time, because you would think I'd prep for the show or something.
Oh, look, you had to sit in traffic.
I know. I had 3 hours just sitting on like 10 freeways. The Stiegel Radler is a commercial example of number 20 fruit beer.
Okay, so this would be a fruit beer.
Other commercial examples include Pyramid Apricot Ale, Abita Purple Haze, Magic Hat number 9, and Founders Rubaeus. So this covers a lot of territory.
And a lot of those are more beer forward beers. Sure. This is more the outlier in that it's more 50-50.
Right.
Well, let's judge it. I mean, let's talk about it as if let's do our commercial calibration thing. Do we think it hits those marks? I mean, appearance, it's cloudy. Shouldn't be cloudy.
Right.
Appropriate to the base beer being presented.
Which is a Munich Helles, so.
Right. Haze is generally undesirable. So, I might take a point off of this for being hazy.
Okay. Very generous of you.
This is still, mine is like, it's still pretty cold. I got these off the shelf at Total Wine about 3 hours ago. Put them in a ice chest and filled that up with ice and let them cool off on the way home. So I cooled them too much. It's maybe a little cooler than I might like to drink this. So I'm not getting maybe all the aromatics I would if it were more of an ideal drinking temperature. But I still I get grapefruit without it being overpowering.
Yeah, I just got mine out of the fridge right before we started, so it's been out for, I don't know, 15 minutes.
Yeah.
It's very florally grapefruit. It definitely does not smell artificial in any way or syrupy or sweet or whatever. There's a lot of those like more bitter aromatics, I guess.
Yeah, and grapefruit, like lemon, is a pretty strongly flavored. It's citrus fruit, and it does kind of take over things. If this was presented to me as a 20A, just okay, well, this is a German, a Munich Helles with grapefruit, I'd be like, where's the Munich Helles? But being grapefruit Radler, okay, I understand it. This is more the 50-50 thing. But I'd be looking for, if it was just presented with the base beer and the fruit without saying anything else about it, it'd be like, okay, this is way off balance for what I want in a fruit beer,
You think like the guidelines, the way they are, it would be prohibitive to entering a Radler because of exactly what you just said? You'd have to have more of the base beer present, but in this,
I think it could be fairly judged. I think it could be.
But if you don't know it, if you're doing fruit beers and you have apricot Hefeweizen, and then you have this, and you go, oh, Munich Helles with grapefruit, you wouldn't know that it's a Radler, or would you guess that it's a Radler? And you tried it and just only tasted juice.
Yeah, they would have to declare it as such. It would be hard to judge it otherwise.
It'd be hard. Well, but I guess what I'm saying is, do you don't know that, right? It's just here's all the fruit beers. You don't know that it's a Radler or American wheat or whatever, right? You don't know that, or do you?
Depending on the competition, they can let the entrant put whatever information they want to put to help the judges understand the beer. And in a fruit beer, I think a little more leeway can be given, especially being that this is one of the commercial examples. That Radlers can be accepted in that category. It makes sense that they would allow an entrant to make those kind of comments and say, okay, judges as a grapefruit Radler with whatever base style.
I feel like I'm going to say it. I feel like that's an easy win.
Yeah.
I feel like it's an easy win because you can put any beer underneath here. There's really, you know what I mean? It's not, you want something not hoppy. You want something not offensive, light enough to have there's a little bit of body there, but not too much. Like, come on. Easy win. This is what I'm doing from now on. I'm pushing Radlers everywhere. Competition.
It's going to be difficult the thing of fruit and beer, it seems easy when someone does it right, but if they're not doing it right, it's not easy. I mean, picking the right, there's so many ways for fruit to clash with malt or with hops. This is a really good blend right here, but yeah, it could easily have gone some other direction.
I feel like without ever having tasted the base beer, I would imagine this Munich Helles is relatively on the lighter side because it says it's Austria's largest private brewery. And I would imagine in order to get there, you need to be sort of middle of the road brewing, style wise, or at least flavor wise, right? You don't want something too malty. You don't want something too big. So I would imagine that would be the base beer is a little bit lighter on those things.
Yeah.
You know what's interesting is when you go on their website for Stiegl, and they say it's based on the Gold Brow, right? So they have ingredients: barley, malt, hops, and water. Okay, yeah, gosh. 2 out of 5 alcohol, 3 out of 5 aromatics, 3 out of 5 bitterness. When they say beer type, it's a full beer Austrian-style Märzen, and they have a separate Helles. That's interesting.
All right.
I'd have thought this would be the Helles, that the Hell is a separate brand, a separate beer on their website. And, Coop, you were just saying this was made with the Gold Brow, and that seems like it's maybe a Märzen, but I don't know what an Austrian-style Märzen is.
Yeah, I think it's a Helles.
But they have a separate beer that they call a Helles. It's Austria. Who knows? I mean, the Austrians can always do their own thing.
Right.
I just found it, presented it on a Total Wine listing as Goldbräu Munich Helles Lager beer, which it's like a Stiegel
Go to the
beer.
Radler here.
Yeah,
We're learning
true.
as we go. All right, well, let's keep going with the old judging there. Oh, so I just looked it up. Austrian Märzen is a pale lager and Austria's most popular beer that's similar to Bavarian Helles or Export. It's a cross between a Helles and an export beer.
okay.
And when you go to the Stiegel, when you go to the Radler page on the Stiegel website, they say it's 40% Stiegel Goldbräu, 60% fruit soda.
Fruit soda. Okay, so we're not even talking juice. It's straight up, and it
Right.
is sweet. I mean, there
It's
is
like Squirt. I mean, Squirt's got artificial flavor, but Squirt's a grapefruit soda. And in a way, I can kind of imagine, like, if I poured some Squirt into some Helles, I'd get something like this.
But yeah, they do claim this is naturally flavored. So Squirt might do the trick, but it's probably going to be more artificial tasting if you mix this with a Helles.
But I doubt there's anything that they probably waved a grapefruit over like a vat of Squirt before they canned it.
Yeah, I mean, you go to like Cost Plus and you get those, all natural Italian sodas, in the sweet top bottles. Probably one of those.
Yeah, so that's also probably why the beer started at 5%, but when you add 60%, it takes it down to the 2.25 that they're claiming on the can.
Okay.
I find this to be really easily and smoothly drinkable. It's lighter. It's way lighter bodied than any beer you judge besides, but yeah, it's very effervescent too. It's just a Radler. I've had lots of them.
Do you think the style could have a foothold here in America?
Sure. I think it's got a place with the low alcohol and non-alcoholic options becoming more prevalent and more called for and more variety in that space for sure.
I think, especially maybe to challenge hard seltzers.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's not obviously the alcohol in a hard like there is in a hard seltzer, but
I saw the other day they have non-alcoholic hard seltzer.
Jesus,
you get White Claw NA.
God, dude,
and it was like
called fruit
$20 for a 12-pack. It was insane.
Right.
My God, dude, I love it. God bless those people.
Yeah. I asked my wife if she wanted something. I was like, "What's the point? What's the point? I'm just gonna drink some seltzer."
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah,
it's weird.
Competing with hard seltzer. I mean, a lot of times people drink hard seltzer because they'll say, "Oh, I don't like beer," and if you offer them like here's a Radler, it's beer with fruit juice, they're going to say, I don't like beer, and not drink it. So I'm not sure it's a real competitor for hard seltzer. Or maybe I'm wrong. I'm not a marketing guy. I don't know shit about marketing, which is pretty obvious. It just seems like, I don't know. I'm not sure that would be an easy sell for most consumers in the U.S.
I think you're right. I think what you would have to do is you would have to, pull the old, hey, you want to try something? Do you like fruit? Do you like fruit beer? Have you had a fruit beer? Try this. What do you think about this? Oh, this is called a Radler, and we make it here at the bar and blah, 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 blah. You got to do that. You got to push that kind of stuff. Well, okay. Well, what do we think? Overall impressions, we're gonna score this. Char was saying that this is listed as a classic example of a fruit beer.
I noticed that it was in 2015, but not in the 2021 guidelines.
Ooh.
Oh, maybe that's what I'm looking at wrongly. I searched Radler just search that in the search box for the BJCP.
Yeah.
So that's what came up. So maybe it does. Okay, 11 years ago. Okay, oops. Yeah, that's
God.
That's an old one, which explains why they have things like Magic Hat and Pyramid Apricot Ale and so forth as commercial examples.
Yeah, Pyramid.
Yeah, they had a lot.
Isn't even around
more. Yeah, Pyramid's gone now.
Like Saxer's gone, I think.
So we're in 29A fruit beer in the 2021 guidelines, and it only has 21st Amendment watermelon, wheat, Anderson Valley, blood orange goes, Avery, Licoy Polo, Ballast Point Grapefruit Sculpin, Bell's Cherry Stout, and Founders Rubaeus. Still has that one. But yeah, more of the classic beer fruit blends with the balance. And in the overall impression, it's the first thing it says, a pleasant integration of fruit with beer, but still recognizable as beer. So I don't know that I'd enter it as this. It's almost like a mixed style beer, like a 34B maybe, but you're not mixing beer with beer, you're mixing beer with something else. So it's fruit soda.
Then I guess I don't know.
But that I don't know. Let's call Gordon. We'll ask him.
I know, right? Get Jamil on the horn. Okay, well, let's judge it. What do we think?
It tastes like a Radler. It's very fresh tasting. It's very drinkable and very light and easy to quaff. And I've drank nearly 2/3 of this can already because it's just so easy to drink. And I'm not getting any buzz whatsoever. It's not like if you drink 2/3 of it. 2/3 of a 20-ounce IPA, you're going to feel that.
Oh yeah, you're dead. I would give it a 38 or maybe even a 40. I do feel like it's a little on the sweet side for me. I don't drink soda though. Like if you drink soda, you wouldn't really, I think, in my opinion, care too much. But for me, I'm not used to that level of sweetness in a bout.
I could land in a similar territory to you there. I honestly, I think I would prefer it a little bit better if it did have a little more of the body from the beer. If it was like a 50-50 blend.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to see maybe more of a 50-50 blend and have a little more beer character. Yeah, I'd say high 30s.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk to the people at Stiegel and maybe they'll fly us over there to, we'll taste different blends, consult with them and present a new product aimed for the American, target audience. And we'll tell them how to make their can really cool with lots of cartoons on it and stuff. How to appeal to them
and bully him into making one.
Get all the Hayes Bros to jump on the Radler bandwagon.
Oh yeah.
Stiegel's going to be listening. I'm sure they're listening to their show right now.
Oh, I think I've heard this how they start all their corporate meetings is listening to our show.
Dr. Homebrew is always, kicks off like the yearly management retreat at Stiegel, I'm sure.
That's right.
And they'll want to have us be their reps.
Yeah, well, they fly out to Bohemian Grove, so. Okay, well, very good. Look, like I said, I've never had this before. I actually really like it. I always used to poo-poo these. Like, come on, what the hell are you talking about? But I know our friend Push went to Germany with his kids, years and years ago, and they were like 16, and he was like, "You're not going to have beer, but you can have a Radler."
Yeah,
cool.
But the story is this guy, a local legend in Diessenhofen, Germany. This guy Franz Kugler invented the Radler in June of 1922, and it might be an urban legend, we're not sure, but he was an innkeeper, and there was a bike trail, and biking was really big there in Munich, and these people would bike through the Alps and from nearby Munich to this little town and stop for a beer, right? So one day in June there were 13,000 cyclists that wound their way to this place looking for a beer. But he quickly became overloaded. And he had a little stroke of genius and decided to cut whatever Pilsner he had, which was running out, he had an overstock of lemon soda and mixed it together, and everybody really enjoyed it. So, yeah.
I love that. Doesn't Radler mean like cyclist or something like that?
Radler is a cyclist.
Yeah, there you go. Makes sense to me. I believe the story. Call me confirmed.
It sounds,
it's plausible. It's entirely plausible. And I bet someone in the other town over had been doing it for like 5 years, and then suddenly this dickhead gets popular from it, and he's like, "Hey, I've been doing that, but the blend was 40-60." Figured it out.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I like the beer. I thought it was really good.
And you can order the Radler Mass. It's the Maßstein full of, so you're really, it's a, 33 ounces. It's a liter of beer, but it's only half beer. So it's like 33 ounces, like a beer, and you get a whole Maßstein full of this stuff. And you can have a few of those and be fine.
Well, I'll tell you, next time I go to like Cost Plus or someplace with these fancy Italian sodas, I'm going to get a couple. I'm going to try this. I try this with idea. I think it's good. It's great.
Get the lemon one too. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Sweet. Let's take a quick break. We're going to come back and we're going to have, what do we have? We have Chimay, the can.
Yeah.
What are we going to do? Yeah. We'll talk.
Yeah. I'm excited about this. I've never seen that. Be amazing. So hang on, everyone. It's Dr. Homebrew. We'll be right back.
What's up, homebrewers? Hey, let me ask you a question. You spend a lot of time making your beer taste the way you want it to, right? Some of you even send beers into Dr. Homebrew for feedback. Well, the next logical step in your creativity is to craft some labels for those beers. And there's nobody better at creative labels than Grog Tag. Their easy-to-use designs let you turn out some pretty amazing stuff like labels, bottle caps, coasters, even six-pack carriers with minimal effort on your part. They have a range of label sizes that fit any vessel you can think of. Bottles, cans, growlers, kegs. GrogTag has you covered. Head over to grogtag.com today and check out their line of amazing, fully customizable templates and get your beer looking its best. Grog tags are water resistant, reusable, and will have your naked bottles looking great in no time. That's grogtag.com, and be sure to use code BNARMY at checkout to save 10% on your order.
Dr. Homebrew, please report to the ER for code blue. Dr. Homebrew to the ER, please. Oh, and your tea time has been moved to 2:30.
All right, thanks for hanging on, everybody. We pulled an audible. Brian Shar bullied me, and instead we're going to be opening the brand new 21st Amendment Lager. I don't know if you guys knew this, but the 2NA has this is not a commercial. They didn't pay me to say this. They normally do, but they're not doing it for this particular one. But now they have a lager, and it's mass produced. It's not just like at the pub or whatever. You can go out and buy it, provided you live it where 21st Amendment is sold. But here's the can. Let me hold the can up. It's very cool. It looks like a pre-prohibition kind of style can. I thought it would be cool to talk about this beer because number one, it's unique, I think, for the 2NA, really. But also, lagers are making a big push. I've been loving the beers that have been coming out of places, especially lagers, the past couple of years. So I wanted to just, chat about it because I think it's a really good, solid, drinkable, lager that's not too kind of full of itself. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's Amendment Lager. It's the 4.4%er. We looked up the hops on it. It looks like it's bittered with Magnum, and it has Zots in there. So, we were in between on the break. I was smelling. I got this kind of noble hop character to it, and not just a spiciness, but like a kind of a citrusiness in the like a lemony quality to it, like a little zinginess. I called it, not like an overt citrus like an American hop. But I'm looking at the aroma spider for Zaz pellets, and it does lean towards citrus, spicy, and pine, and a little floral. But yeah, mostly towards the spicy and the.
So what's interesting about this beer is that it recently, and I think it was May of this year. Yeah, May. This beer won gold at the World Beer Cup Awards for cream ale. What do you think of that? What do you think of that entry? Cream ale for this.
No,
it's not an ale. It's very smooth.
Look, man. Yeah, I guess, but I can't tell you how many shoes I've thrown at the stage, like GABF, where, for a session IPA, something will win, and it's literally called like Mike's Pale Ale. Can't really. So names don't mean anything, I guess. But I don't know. As a cream ale, I don't know. What do you think? Does it fit the cream ale category, or what do you think about that?
I'm not getting any real corn out of it. It's more of a just a little sulfuriness in the background, not overt or harsh, but just
it plays right along with that style, which I really like. The like a lager.
The fruitiness that you expect from cream ale has that little bit of fruit, ale fermentation character to it, and this is just so clean. I'm just not getting the fruity even that low fruity fermentation you expect from a cream ale.
Okay, I admittedly haven't had many, so I generally asking. I like this beer a lot. I think it's very good and very very refreshing, and it is. I think it maybe does lean a little more. I don't know, more noble with the bittering hops, like you're saying, and even some of the flavor. I really enjoy it. I think it's a good beer, and everyone should be drinking it. To be honest with you,
so clear and so light in color.
We're good for this time of year for sure. You just get a little light, little malt, little hop, and little sulfur. It's just a real easy drinker.
We went to Monterey a couple weekends ago, Monterey Bay Aquarium. Driving down, we stayed at this little inn or whatever. Never done it before, but anyway, it doesn't matter. We stayed there. We're like, let's go to Safeway. Let's get some food. We don't go anywhere, and I need to get some beer. So I'm looking around, and I saw this beer from Alvarado Street called Monterey Beer, and it's only sold, in that area. If you find it, get it. It's a lager. Fucking awesome. It's a very good, I guess, like pre-prohibition style lager. It's very a lot of body to it. It's great. It's an amazing lager. But I round the corner and there's this whole display of 2-1A lagers and like 12 packs. And I'm like, I text Sully. I'm like, I had to go all the way down to Monterey to find out that you sell 12 packs. And I didn't see any up here. Pissed me off, man. But now, of course, you can get it, everywhere. But like, geez, it's just funny. I don't know. Made me laugh.
So you had like a pallet of the lager to show up at your driveway like a couple days later?
No. No. I will say one thing about Sully's. He does not give out. He does not do that. I think because so many people would just ask him for it. He's just,
I took a little bit of the lager and dumped it into my Radler to bring it more of that 50-50 that I wanted.
Yeah.
And it gives it a little more body. And yeah, it blends nicely in there.
All right. Awesome, man.
It's still not it's just a touch more beer-like, but it's still not overt, but it's more that blend that I would want.
Okay. Very cool. Well, anything else to say about the lager? We're just going to take a quick break and do the Chimay. This wasn't really like a thing for us to, dig into this beer. It was really just kind of a bullshit.
Making a 4.4% beer have enough interesting to it to make me want to drink it. I'd much rather have this than a PBR any day,
Oh, I'd be really curious what yeast he used because, it's not fruity. There's that hint of sulfur. The malts, according to the website, are Carafoam and two-row. So I suspect there's probably some kind, I don't know, I wonder if it's like a craft two-row or something. But it's got a lot of flavor and character for being 4.5%, like you're saying, Coop. And it's, I don't know, maybe it's so clean and so good. I wonder if there's, maybe something about the two-row or something about the yeast that helps the flavors just pop.
Yeah,
well, I think if it's not declaring any corn or rice. Is it an adjunct-free beer? It's just those two malts and there's no other adjunct. That makes it
website says
a different animal than most American lagers, which use 6-row.
Yeah,
and because it has so much enzyme, you can convert all the starches you need with it. Add 30% corn or rice, boom, you've got an American lager, and bump it up to 5%. This one, it's like restrained, 4%, really light, but still very, has a nice malt backbone to it and a really nice hop in the nose. And that, to me, that says, American, it's an American,
it's
deal.
Yeah, there's a little lemony thing. I like it. I think it's great. Okay, enough of that.
There we go.
Well, we don't need to do that. Okay. We're going to take a break. We're going to come back with Chimay and uncan it, if you will. So hang on, everyone. It's Dr. Homebrew. We'll be right back.
The leader in affordable, high-quality kegerators is here. Introducing Komos, the kegerator designed with serious beer drinkers in mind. It features an all-stainless steel draft tower, a major upgrade over traditional chrome-plated brass towers, and Komos keeps your new tower cold with their air-cooled tower fan, wrapping your beer lines in frigid coolness. Your beer is poured from innovative forward-sealing faucets that don't leak, so they stay cleaner for longer. Dual gas inlets on the rear of the fridge allow you to run both CO2 and nitrogen gas. Serve your beer with CO2, serve your kegged wine or even cocktails with nitrogen. The digital temperature display has the largest range available, allowing you to use the Komos kegerator for fermentation if you need to. And now Komos kegerators ship with duo-tight draft fittings for that click-to-connect assembly we've all dreamed of. Buy direct from KomosDraft.com and receive free shipping on your order. That's KOMOS Draft.com.
Now, back to the examination.
All right, thanks for sticking around, everybody. I saw this at Bevmo, and I had to get it, and I had to convince the other boys to get it too. This is Chimay 5 Cents, which is the Trappist Triple Ale in a can, which I think is kind of disruptive in the Belgian, beer scene to speak canning beer, because everything is so tied into like tradition about the bottling or bottling and then corking and caging everything and doing all that kind of shit. Even when I see Belgian beer with a crown cap on, I go, ooh, that's a little daring, don't you think? But Chimay white in a can? Come on, dog. We had to try it. So I want to ask you guys, and Shar, you got a bottle of the stuff.
I did. I got a bottle and a can. And let me unblur my background here so the 4 people that are watching this on YouTube might be able to go check this out. Let's see. This is the canned version, and this is the bottled version. The color is about the same. The bottled one might be slightly darker, like maybe 1 SRM or something. That might be an artifact of the fact that the cups are 2 different shapes, and I chose 2 different shapes so I could keep them separate and keep track of which was which and not get them confused at mid show. Because I would do that. Yeah, I've met me. I know what I do.
Yeah. So we're going to be talking about this as a triple, Trappist, Belgian style triple. Cooper, Chimay has to be one of the prime examples of the style, right?
Well, it was the 6 Cent was a triple. It was listed as a commercial classic example of triple in the 2015 guidelines, but it is it's not in the 2021. But yeah, it's Chimay is just one of those classic, Trappist beers that you just, they do a unique twist on everything, and they have their house yeast they developed, probably 80 something years ago or whatever, and they just use that, and boy, yeah, it's a treat when you get something out of a can that tastes like it should be coming out of a very tall, fancy bottle. That's interesting.
The 2021 guidelines for Belgian triple, the first commercial example is Chimay triple. Is that different from the 5 Cents? I always thought the 5 Cents, the white, was the triple.
That's what I thought too.
Let me go to the Chimay website while Coop is talking about it.
It's listed as the triple on the can, but then on the Chimay website, the 5 Cents is listed as blonde. Chimay 5 Cents blonde, and then I'm trying to. There's Chimay gold. There's a strong blonde, Cinquante. I don't know how to. I'm very bad at pronouncing this stuff. 10%.
Strong blonde. The Cinquante is kind of a teal.
Yeah.
I'm guessing that's the quad. And then where's the red? The blue. Yeah, that's the dark. That's the dark brown. The red is the brown. That'd be double. They don't use double or triple anywhere in here. I've always thought of Chimay red as the double.
But yeah, they just call it the white, and it's the 5 Cent. I just linked
Chimay. They don't give a fuck. They just call their beer what they want to call it.
Can.
Yeah, this is what it is. Just drink this. It's Chimay. You're gonna love it. Stop trying to categorize it.
Right. Yeah, 5 Cents white label.
Well, here, and on the 6 Cent webpage, specific page on the Chimay site calls it a Chimay triple. So this is, I would wager that this is the #1 commercial example of a Belgian triple.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
And
I'm not finding anything else separately that's called just a triple, So this is their triple for sure.
There's a Cuban restaurant in Palo Alto that has had Chimay white 5 Cent on tap continuously for about 20 years. I don't go there that often. La Bodeguita del Media, if you ever happen to be in Palo Alto, awesome Cuban food, and it's always Chimay triple with the right glassware on tap.
It's awesome.
This is a little bit stronger than those other beers that we tasted.
Just a little.
It's like double.
2.5 to 4.4 to now 8. Yeah, we literally are doubling every time, man.
Oh, dude, you know what we didn't do that I haven't poured out my lager or my Radler? We should do with the Chimay triple too, and you love doing this stuff, Coop. We did not mix the lager with the Radler.
I did.
You should later on maybe think about, oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, did we talk about it and I missed it?
Very briefly.
Okay. I was probably, I don't know.
I said it brought it up to that 50% beer that I wanted it.
Let's hit the Chimay real fast. Let's go through our little game that we'd like to play here. Are we talking aromatics, style guideline kind of stuff here?
Yeah, there's a lot of nice spicy phenolics in the nose for sure. And it's just like white pepper, no clove or anything like that, but just a real big, spiciness. It's not very fruity. It's not like overtly any specific type of fruit. It is just moderate fruity esters, kind of generic. It's not like, oh, okay, there's a big, apple, pear, lemony. It's just kind of generic. But the other component that comes in too, of course, is the alcohol at 8%. And this is, on the lower end of the style for triple. It goes from 7.5 to 9.5%. And this one's sitting at 8. So it's kind of on the lower end, which is fine. They don't need to go too big, but some triples, they push 9.5 and get a little more alcohol on that. But this is very balanced with the Belgian ale fermentation products along with that smooth alcohol in there.
What's interesting is that we talk about the phenolic, and there is definitely, some excellent phenolic spice in here. Chimay calls it a subtle smoky aroma with a hint of vanilla. And I'd say, there might be, because phenolic can come across as either spicy or, well, not either, can come across, among other things, as spicy or smoky. And hey, why not both? I mean, if I think about it, there is something in here that I think it was maybe a very, very light smoke, not because of any smoked malt, but because of the fermentation character.
Yeah, I mean, the smoke is another phenolic, and definitely not overt smoke, but like if you get any kind of a smoky quality in like a Scottish beer, that's always from the yeast. There's no like peat smoked malt or anything like in there. In the Scottish beers, it's just any smoky character is usually from the yeast, or I'm doing a bad job of brewing it.
on the Chimay website, they have two choices, but for beer look, like appearance. One is cloudy, the other is limpid, and this beer is limpid. I'm not sure if I've ever seen that word used. Look, I suspect that must mean clear. I know I thought limpid was like cloudy, but I don't know.
Slightly
limpid, guys. Clear, transparent, or pellucid as water, crystal, or air. Pellucid. Now we're going to run this rabbit hole. What does pellucid mean?
Oh my God, Jesus!
Yeah, I'm just like,
will you write this crap?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. It's like it was translated with Google Translate and they just put it up on their website. It's called Cinq Cents because it was bottled for the 500th anniversary of the Principality of Chimay in 1986, and Cinq Cents means 500.
I love that.
I like this a lot. It's got a lot of fermentation character without it being overboard. Sometimes Belgian beers, and it could be commercial or homebrew styles, people just go way too hard on fermentation temperature or on the yeast, and the yeast just dominates everything, and sometimes not in a good way. Sometimes it is a good way, and that's fantastic. Sometimes it's just too much. It's really restrained. It doesn't feel like, if I didn't know this was an 8% beer, I might not think it was 8%.
Right. So it's not smooth.
Yeah,
I would very well
like,
attenuate them.
Like 6.5.
Yeah. I would guess that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very deceptive. Getting a nice like a floral hop note in the nose. It's definitely not under hop. There's enough hop in there to balance everything else that's going on too. It's not very bitter, but there's a little bit of a bite from the alcohol, but not a harsh, like hot anything.
You know what? Drinking this it's very, in the can, it's so much different than in the bottle, because it tastes a lot fresher to me. From what I haven't had a Chimay White in fucking, I don't know, probably 15 years. Who knows, right? But I can kind of remember how it was. And this seems way more dynamic to me than having it in a bottle. And I feel like maybe the oxygen permeability of the caps, or just the bottling conditions or whatever, lend to some of that wearing off. But in the can, oxygen is so low that there is a lot of these peppery tobacco kind of notes, and there's a lot of these like spicy raisin notes that I don't really truly remember. And it's almost like overwhelmingly, like there's a lot here. There's a lot of pepper, tobacco, brown sugar, raisin that I don't remember drinking a beer like this. I'm kind of blown away by it.
Right. I'm used to there being a little bit of that, like, okay, this has been sitting on yeast for a while, and I'm tasting the yeast, like the yeast from the bottom of the lees of the bottle, a little more than I'm tasting the beer sometimes, especially if you get one that hasn't traveled well, and it's but yeah, it's interesting to taste it. It does taste fresher and maybe more like you would get there.
I have the bottled and the canned one, and we can talk about that later on or now or something.
Oh, now. I mean, this is the last time.
So the frankly, what's kind of interesting, they're very similar, but I do think that the flavor in the bottled one is maybe a little deeper. I wouldn't call it oxidized, but it's maybe a little more aged, perhaps. But it's interesting. The carbonation seems slightly more in the bottle than in the can, but by and large, I mean, the aroma is the same. The flavor is very similar. I do get maybe that slight bit of additional oxidation that isn't like cardboard or anything unpleasant. But like you were talking about, JP, about sitting on yeast for a while, like maybe a little bit more richness, maybe a little bit more malt. If the canned version, if the malt was at like a 7, the malt in the bottle might be at like an 8. Just a little bit additional malt character in the flavor I'm getting from the bottled example. But frankly, I'm really impressed that how similar they are, and maybe that's why it took Chimay a long time to start canning, is they didn't want to just start half-assing it and throwing it in cans and see what happened. They wanted to be sure they could do it right, because it's Chimay.
Well, and the fresher example of Trappist beers that I've had, Belgians in general, from Belgium, right? Muled over here, because I don't know. It surprised me how bitter they are.
Yeah.
How hop forward they are as a style. And, that was one thing when we were brewing in like the 90s and trying to learn all this shit. Our examples were sitting on the shelf for 6 months, and it took a year to get over here. So they were just kind of dull, and that's what we thought they were, but that's not the case.
That's why we're such terrible beer judges.
That's right.
We learned in the aughts.
It has a bitterness to it.
Yeah.
It's kind of an aggressive bitterness. And I think it works really well with all the other flavors involved. This is such a different beer. It's such a different beer.
I've been told by people that spend a lot of time in Belgium that the beers are always hoppier there for sure than what you get here and what you're used to. When you go there, you taste the hops a lot fresher. Just like if you took an American IPA and put it on a boat for 6 months, sent it over there. Oh, this is American IPA. It's been warm for 6 months on your boat. Here you go. It's not going to taste like what we get down at the the craft breweries here. Ghost Town.
An episode of The Session like 10 years ago, where Justin was interviewing a brewery in Australia. I think it was Little Creatures, although I might be wrong. And they talked about trying to clone Sierra Nevada Pale Ale as like their flagship beer.
Yeah.
And it was like they had sent some to Justin or something, and probably to you, JP.
That was
it was all just kind of oxidized and cardboardy. And it was the same as when Americans were trying to, like you were saying, Coop, when Americans were trying to clone European beer, And
Yeah.
our only examples were all cardboardy in age. They were trying to clone American beer, and their examples were all oxidized and cardboardy in age.
There you go.
Everyone's trying to clone each other's beer, but they don't even know what it tastes like.
We've made it. It tastes exactly like this bottle that came here somehow.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know where this bottle came from or how it got to Perth, but damn it, it's 3 years old, and I'm going to make a beer that tastes just like it.
So there's if you go on the Chimay website, and if you really want to get in the mood for drinking this beer, they have a playlist on Spotify that you can get into. It's called Chimay Triple. Good character is in my nature.
Really?
Chimay official.
Yeah.
They have a Chimay official Spotify.
You know they
So yes, they do. Yeah.
Gotta click on this because I don't have Spotify, but now I have, and well, it's got some Rolling Stones, Janis Joplin, Taylor Swift,
Bob Dylan.
the Black Keys.
It just sounds like keywords. I don't know.
Yeah.
It just sounds like any radio station ever.
Playlist.
I mean,
Jimmy
it's not really
Triple,
what
good
it's
character is in my nature.
Where are all the Belgian artists?
I don't know. Here's something called C6 Steve. He might be Belgian. How about the War on Drugs? They could be Belgian. I don't know.
No, they're an indie band.
Jay Bernhardt.
That's wild.
Oh, Varhouse. Yeah, loves a stranger. Varhouse.
All right. Well, I think if that's that sounds terrible, Cooper. Stop it. Stop.
Sorry.
It's all right.
Gold on the ceiling, like the golden on label. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, if that's it, I think we're gonna get out of here.
I could do
done
more
yet.
bad German talking about
We've been
Belgian beers for a while.
We're done. Unless you have something else
It's been
to
an hour. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we barely talked about the triple style. I mean, we just talked about what this beer tastes like.
Yeah, that's not my fault. I can only prompt so many times.
A Belgian triple is a strong, pale, somewhat spicy Belgian ale with a pleasant rounded malt flavor, firm bitterness, and dry finish. Quite aromatic with spicy, fruity, and light alcohol notes combining with the support of clean malt character to produce a surprisingly drinkable beverage considering the high alcohol content. So that's basically it. And yeah, OG 1075 to 1085. It'll dry out to 1008 to 1014. So it's a very dry beer. A lot of attenuation. IBUs usually 20 to 40. And it's lighter in color, SRM 4.5 to 7. And like I said, alcohol 7.5 to 9.5. But yeah. And Chimay Triple isn't listed as the first one just because it's the best one. They just in 2021 they started doing them alphabetically by brewery. Just to be fair, so it's not always. It's kind of it starts with a C, so it comes before the L's and the V's and the W's. So, but yeah, try if you like. You pick up a can of this and you like it. Try some others, and I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing more cans. Like if Westmalle comes out with. Maybe they have one. I don't know. It's just such a more convenient and protective packaging, beer delivery mechanism to, there's a reason that it took over in the craft beer movement. And, for a while I was like, oh, everything, you get a special beer, it has to be in a bottle. And it's just not like that anymore because, all the canned beers was associated with mass-produced, mass-marketed American craft lagers, and then the craft movement had to differentiate itself. So yeah, cans are back, and it's a very good package for keeping the beer tasting right. Protects it from light. Protects it. It's lighter weight. It's easier to transport. Easier to take camping. Whatever.
Right. All right, very good. Well, look, if you want to be on the show and if you have commercial beer and you want us to try and talk about it, which we've done before, please do that as well. But if you're a home brewer and want to send in some beer or kombucha or whatever, email Brian at thebrewingnetwork.com. We'll get you on the list and we'll get you out of here and have you on with us, and you can, watch us stare at you while you explain your recipe. On the next show, we have a couple homebrews already. I have a Mexican lager. I rebrewed the Dr. Hombre Mexican lager.
Oh, wow.
And, what I also want to do on the next show is talk about cereal mashing. Because I've been, bullshitting about I really want to do like heirloom, rice or heirloom corn. But nobody makes flaked heirloom corn. Barely anybody sells malted heirloom corn, which you don't need to cereal mash. But there's a bunch of other varietals that you are going to have to cereal mash. So I want to pick your guys' brain about how to do that. Maybe we can briefly talk about that on the next show a little bit. But
yeah,
we're going to be talking about that and have my beer and have some other beer on. So if you want to join us, Brian at thebrewingnetwork.com. Email Brian. We'll get you squared away. Anything else, boys?
That's it. That was the last thing I would have added.
All right.
Email me. Send me your beer.
Yeah, you'll be communicating with Cooper. Cooper, the communicator. All right, everybody, thank you very much for tuning in. I appreciate it. And until next time, we'll see you later.